So with the block between knees or thighs, if you're using that added weight, it's going to come right across the pelvis. Think about a quarter underneath your two big toes. Press that quarter down as you lift and land the hips. So yes, we want to lift with that extra weight, but we also want to work toward landing with control with that extra weight and not collapsing down at the bottom of that low bridge. Couple more. Keep pressing those big toes down like you've got a quarter underneath each big toe. All right, once you land, you can move the weight aside. We're going to take that block out and then head to quadruped. From quadruped, we're going to set up for a row with our right arm. So you're going to have whatever amount of weight you'd like in that right hand. Our base option is going to be quadruped, neutral spine, like we have that broom behind us. Pulling this right elbow up, keeping it nice and narrow. So working on the same kind of like bow pull or lawnmower pull without arching or rounding. You can add more challenge by sliding the left toes back, as long as that right hip can hold with the pelvis neutral. And then we add that same row here. So just challenging our base of support by sliding the left toes back if you'd like. If you want more support or cushion, you can use a block under your left hand or underneath that right knee. Long spine. And then slide it in, and we'll switch sides. Weight into that left hand, neutral spine. Let's start in quadruped. Pull that left elbow up, keep it narrow. Neck stays light and long. You can add more challenge by sliding the right toes back. Make sure that left hip is stable with your pelvis neutral. Lightly drawing those two pelvic points in. Hold that neutral spine as we work the left arm. Good, lower the weight. Come back to quadruped. You can take a child's pose or even cat-cow for a moment. Get off the wrists if that feels good. We're going to grab our block. It's going to come either between your knees at whatever setting or way up between your inner thighs. And we're going to start in quadruped. We're going to work that deep core here with a hover. So we'll tuck the toes under. Take a big breath in, really expand the ribs, expand the torso. Exhale like you're blowing out candles. Hug the block, and then hover the knees without rounding your back. Tap the knees down, inhale. Exhale, blow out your candles. Lightly hug the block, hover the knees. Tap down as you inhale. That's our base movement. We can also add on by exhaling, hovering. Stay in the hover for the next inhale. Exhale, lift into down dog. You'll take a breath in down dog. Exhale, lightly hug the block. Come back to your hover. So either way, we're moving as we exhale, and we're holding as we inhale. Sinking the breath, the core, the pelvic floor. All right, let's come back to quadruped, take the block out. You can come to fist, take a little cat-cow or even belly roll, anything to just move the spine a little bit. And then we'll step our right foot forward, land your left knee onto the block into our 90-90. Grab maybe a lighter weight or whatever you prefer for overhead, so some shoulder mobility. And we want to keep our stack, ribs over pelvis, reaching the weight up in the right hand. Now, our right shoulder is going to do a little bit of rotation, so a little bit of external rotation. We're going to turn our chest or our torso toward that front leg as we hinge. So we might be hinging an inch, and then we come back up, really lengthen the spine. Hinge and rotate, so we're slightly turning toward that front leg, enough that we can get back up. Imagine that quarter underneath your right big toe. Neck stays long. Couple more. Hinge with that feeling of a broom behind you. All right, we're gonna put the weight down, head to quadruped for a moment, and then lower onto the outer left hip and left forearm. Forearm side bridges, block between knees or thighs. You can do this with no added weight. You can place an added weight on that top hip. Checking with that left shoulder or the bottom shoulder, not crowding the collarbone, but nice and broad. Push down into the forearm, push down into the lower leg to lift, and then land. Just like our bridge pose on our back, we want to work on lifting and landing with control. Push down into the lower leg to lift up. Use that hug of the block as you lift. Working that whole left side, shoulder to hip. One more. All right, let's take the weight off, head back to quadruped, take the block out. Take a quick little cat-cow or child's pose. And when you're ready, we're gonna step that left foot forward, land your right knee onto the block for 90-90, tucking the toes. Let's grab that weight that we use for overhead. It's gonna be in that left arm. Feel that stack, ribs over pelvis, right glute firm. We're gonna hinge and rotate. So our torso is gonna start turning toward that front leg without rounding or arching. And then we lift back up. Long spine, hinge and rotate. Long spine, push into that left foot, rise up. Turning the torso. Keeping that right glute really active. Push into that left big toe. Last one. Put the weight down. Head to quadruped for a moment. Lower onto the outer right hip and the right forearm. If you'd like, place that extra weight on top of that left hip or the top hip. Check the right shoulder, nice and steady. Exhale, hug the block, push down to lift. Land with control. Exhale, push down into the lower leg to lift and land. That outer right hip is working to lift and lower. Two more. Push down into the lower leg to lift. Move the weight aside, head to quadruped. Your choice. Take a little cat-cow or even a child's pose. When you're ready, step your right foot forward, same 90-90 setup. Left knee onto the block. Grab an overhead weight. So whatever weight we usually use, again, overhead, but we're gonna hold it in both hands, so maybe a little bit heavier. We're gonna work on that halo move. So the biggest goal is to keep our stack ribs over pelvis, not letting the tailbone tip or the back arch. So we hold our stack, weight starts in front of the face or in front of the chest, and we try to draw a tight circle around the head, back in front, and then reverse. Draw a tight circle like we're drawing a halo. Shoulders might sound a little clicky. So adjust your weight as needed. So it feels challenging but doable to hold that stack and to breathe. So we want to feel those two pelvic points cinch in, holding that left glute firm. We're going to head to quadruped, move the weight aside, and once we get to quadruped, you're going to place the block between, again, knees or thighs as we set up for push-ups. You can do push-ups in quadruped. Spine long, chest open. Inhale, bend the elbows back. Exhale, push into the fingers. Extra little hug up the block. So that's our base. Of course, you can slide the knees back. Inhale, chest open. Exhale, hug the block. Toes can be tucked, knees can be up. You can also elevate yourself onto a counter, a chair, a couch into an incline or standing variation of a push-up. All right, take the block out. Again, quick child's pose or cat-cow. Let's step the left foot forward. Land the right knee onto the block for that same 90-90 setup, adding that halo action. So whatever weight, you can hold that stack, start in front of the face or chest. Tight circle around the head without the rib cage lifting. Reverse the direction without the tailbone lifting and tucking. So really working on all those stabilizer muscles down below so we can work the shoulders and the core. Right glute stays firm to keep the pelvis from wiggling. Couple more. All right, lower the weight, head to quadruped. Move the block aside. Your choice, cat, cow, child's pose, or go right to a down dog. If you're in down dog, feel free to pedal the feet or shrug the shoulders up and down. Let the neck just relax or release. Walk the hands back toward the feet into happy squat until we can really load the feet evenly, not just the heels, not just the toes, but right through the center. We're going to use the strength of our legs to press the ground away and rise up. Go ahead and grab a weight in just one hand, maybe your heavier weight. We're going to work on our carry, so just a walk, a march, a balance forward, holding the weight in the right hand. So you want to think about that stack, ribs over pelvis, invisible broom behind us. You can walk forward and back. You can slowly go into a kickstand. You can slowly march. Work on that single leg balance. Can we march without leaning toward the weight or away from the weight? So without compensating, holding that stack. And then switch hands. Weight in the left hand, walking forward and back, marching forward and back. And you might notice one side feels a little bit more challenging. Staying long as we march. Using a lot of those side core muscles to keep us upright. Pushing into the big toes.
She's saying careful. Let her speak right there. Let her finish. And then. Yeah, she says, no, you don't need to do it.
All right, let's put that weight down as we get ready for hip hinges. You can, of course, use a block between ankles, knees, thighs, wherever you'd like a little more support. You can have a heavier weight in one hand, lighter weights in each hand, however you want to load and set up to work the hamstrings and the glutes. So whatever that looks like today, long spine, quarter underneath those big toes. Hold the quarters as you hinge. So we're thinking butt back, but keep pressing down into those invisible quarters. Use the strength of the legs to rise up. Hinging, pressing into those big toes. Yeah. Using the legs to rise up. So any pace. Long spine. Holding that stack, ribs over pelvis. You want to sink into the breath. Inhale as you hinge. Exhale as you rise up.
All right, now she's ready.
All right, you can put that weight down. Take the block out. We're going to move into our lunge or our lunges. So grab one weight. We're going to add a little diagonal chop today with our lunge. So the base action is going to be up and then across. With our lunge, our ribs do get to move a little bit, but we're going to try not to find that rotation down below. So let's step our right foot back. Nice and bouncy, nice and buoyant. And we're going to have our weight go up to the left as we inhale. Exhale to the right. Inhale to the left, this little diagonal. Exhale. Hold your stack, hold that invisible broom so that we don't arch and round. Hold neutral. If you'd like to add on, you're going to inhale. Exhale. Step together as you come down. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. So find your variation, keeping that neutral pelvis. Pause in your lunge. We're going to turn to the side of the mat for a squat. We're going to have the weight just in the right hand. You can have feet parallel, feet turned out. When we squat, we want to think hips low, but chest open. So however you want to do that, whatever feels right for your hips without arching or tucking. So find our stack, weight in the right hand. We're going to inhale into whatever your squat looks like. Press into the big toes. Exhale, push the ground away. That's our base. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Feet can be more narrow for your squat. What feels right for your hips with that neutral spine. Work on that push of the ground away. Use the strength of the legs. Push. Okay, if you want to add on, right arm up. Exhale. If you tend to move the ribs or change the spine, bring left hand to the ribs. Couple more. Your squat. All right, we're going to turn it back to the front. Left foot steps back, high lunge. Set up here, neutral. Starting with upper body. Inhale up to the right. Exhale across to the left. Inhale toward the front leg. Exhale down toward the back leg. Little turn through the ribs, but keep your pelvic points facing forward. Push into the big toes. You can add the step together as we come down, reverse lunge. As we come up, we're challenging that stack, challenging the core muscles. Push into that right big toe. Pause in your lunge. We're going to turn to the side of the mat. Get ready for your squat. The weight's going to be in your left hand. Feet narrow, feet wide, feet turned in, feet turned out. Inhale for your squat. Hips low, chest open. Exhale, push to straighten. Inhale. Exhale. Moving with the breath. Work on that push into the feet. Press the ground away. You can add that shoulder press. Left arm up. Moving any pace that feels right for you to maintain that stack and be able to breathe through it. You can always use the other hand on the front ribs. Push into those quarters underneath your big toes. All right, you can put your weight down. We're going to move to one final standing thing, our upper back. You can have your support prop, your block between knees or thighs. You can sit, you can stand, you can hinge, you can kneel. You can do whatever you want. We're going to work either reverse fly, so a longer arm, opening, closing, without arching and rounding. So holding our stack, you can hinge, be here. If you would like to do shorter arms, you're going to do goalpost or cactus and open. So just slightly different, but still kind of targeting the same muscles. And then same thing, you can hinge, you can be here. If you're using the block between the knees or thighs, you're just going to inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, a little hug on the prop so that we have that extra engagement all the way up into the pelvic floor and the lower part of the core. Lots of options. Long spine. Neck is light and long. All right, you can put your weights down. We're going to head back to the ground, back to quadruped. And once you get down, you can cat-cow, belly roll, swivel, whatever feels nice. From quadruped, step your right foot out to the side, out to the right into an adductor rock. And we're going to keep the spine long, reach the right arm out. Push into that left hand, turn the ribs toward the right, and then thread it under. Push into that left hand. You can inhale, turn the ribs. Exhale, thread it under. One more time. Turn the ribs. Push into that right foot. And then back to quadruped. Left foot steps up to the left. Long spine, left arm out. Push into that right hand, turn the ribs. Forward the straight leg, and then exhale, thread it under. Push into that left foot. Inhale, turn the ribs left. Exhale, thread it under. One more time. Turn the ribs. Thread it under. And back to quadruped. And then turn your fingers out to the side as much as it feels good and widen your hands at least as wide as the mat, maybe wider, so that we can stretch the front of the shoulder. You're going to turn the ribs to the right and bend that right elbow any amount, lowering that left shoulder down. And then come out of it, turn the ribs to the left as we dip that right shoulder down. So as we move side to side, it should feel like a gentle stretch sensation. We want to make sure that we're in control of entering and exiting the stretch. Good, let's head onto our backs. Option to place your block underneath the shoulder blades, either across both shoulder blades or between the shoulder blades the long way. And we'll lie down either on the block or not with the knees bent. If you're on the block, let's do hands behind the head and just start by leaning back to whatever amount feels good. And then slowly start to open the elbows and just let gravity assist you here. For a moment, take a big breath here, letting gravity open the elbows to the amount that feels good, keeping the neck supported. And then move in any way that feels good. Side to side, arching and rounding, rotating, whatever feels good to mobilize the chest and the upper back. Stay here as long as you'd like, or you can roll to your side, come onto your back, or even to a seated position. Wherever you are, you can soften your gaze and close the eyes. As you inhale, take up more space. Let the whole torso widen and expand. Work on exhaling all the way to empty. Take a moment to check in with how you feel in your mind and your body. Thanking yourself for your practice today. Sending one grateful thought out into the universe.